You will increase your efficiency 20% if you learn to do the tough things first, the ones you don't want to do.
Ray Zinn now imparts his management philosophy in Tough Things First. In this series, Zinn covers it all, from the essence of human happiness,
adding value, showing that you have value,
to the downside of venture capital.
You will not own the company.
And the essence of entrepreneurial discipline.
If you're going to make it a consistent practice of working Saturdays just because you think you've got to work 80 hours a week to be successful, you're just flat out wrong.
Now here's Ray Zinn, Silicon Valley's longest serving CEO, and today's guest host. Welcome to the Tough Things First podcast, your indispensable source for business, leadership, and life advice with the longest serving CEO in Silicon Valley history. I'm your guest host, Rob Artigo, and he's Ray Zinn. Good morning, Ray.
Hey, how you doing there, Rob? Good to be with you again.
Good to see you. Well, COVID is mostly in the rearview mirror now, but the fallout apparently lingers. You know, we still have a lot of people working from home, remote working. And I know that there is, some big companies, Facebook and Apple and other companies, it's a big push to try to get a lot of people to get back into the office, in some cases requiring people to get back into the office. And some people are still sort of balancing a little home, a little work. What do you think, Ray, in 2024, are we going to see more work from home, or is it going to start tapering off?
Well, it's tapering off now, actually. My prediction is that most companies that had a work from home policy during the COVID pandemic are now going to scale that back to them coming into work. So most companies now are at least 3 days in the office, 2 days at home. Like, let's say Monday and Friday at home, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the office. So that's going to then, I think, going to go in either latter part of 2024 or in 2025. It's going to go to 2 days, and then ultimately down 1 day, and then it's 2 days. One day in 2025 to no days in 2026. So in other words, by 2026, all companies will be back to 100% in the office. Yeah, and the reason for that, of course, this is part of our discussion today, is that employees are just not as efficient working from home. Now, granted, they'd like it. Most employees, I'd say 95% of them, love working from home because they have more flexibility. They don't have the commute time and the commute costs. They can, be more. They don't have to dress up. They don't even have, they don't even have to comb their hair. They can just jump on their computer and go to work. So, the pandemic kind of coincided beautifully with, this internet capability working from home, with Zoom and Team and other software devices has allowed these employees to work from home, and they think quite effectively. So if I look at it kind of introspectively, I think that probably a good 80% of the employee workforce would prefer working from home. They'd like to do it 100%, maybe 1 day a week going into the office, but by and large, they want to be at 100%. In fact, that leads us into this coffee break thing.
Badging. Coffee badging.
Yeah, coffee badging. So coffee badging, I forgot the term of that thing, but coffee badging is basically going into work, clocking in, and then walking around the office and maybe shooting the breeze with some people, and then after they've done their coffee, had their coffee, then they say we're going to log out. So then they
check out,
right?
Yeah.
They check out,
just leave,
and then go home. So, but the companies they're aware of that, and they're wise to it, and they'll put in the capability to monitor that. So my view again is really doing the reducing the number of times at home to 2 in 2024, 1 in 2025, and 0 in 2026. The employees are fighting it like crazy. In other words, all the employees that love to work from home are going to fight it tooth and nail. They will lose some workers. So there's some people are going to quit and try to find some way to work from home. This pandemic has caused a lot of bad habits to occur, and working from home is really a bad habit. The employee efficiency, by and large, is pretty bad. I mean, it goes to the 80-20 rule, where 80% of them, 20% are good at working from home. In other words, they're effective. 80% are not, and this 80-20 rule applies, of course, there. So here we go. It's going to be a big battle between the employees and the companies. And that's going to be a perk, actually. That's another perk that some companies will offer to get the employee to come to work for them or leave their current company and going to work for them, is by offering them the opportunity to work from home. So there's going to be a lot of trading going on. However, at some point, even those companies that are using that as a lever to attract good people, they're going to still cut back the hours that you can work from home and back. We're going to be back to the office again. So you got all that real estate out there that's being, currently empty. That's going to be filled back up again. And that expense, those companies that have that expense. Now, granted, it's less expense because they don't have all the cleaning issues, the other things that go along with having the employees back in the office again, parking lot issues and that sort of thing. But the efficiency is just killing the companies. Okay, so they want the employees to be back in the office again.
Yeah, you mentioned the bad habit part, so you went right into something that I was going to ask you about, and that is, we talk about how easy it is to start a bad habit and how hard it is to get rid of it and start a good habit. Good habits are hard to come by. Is that kind of from a leadership or management perspective, to understand the process of getting people back in is to figuring out a way to help them break a bad habit, even if they don't know that even if they think it's just a preference and it's actually just a bad habit by now.
Yeah, that's that. Remember, we talked about that coffee badging. Okay, that's the employee's way of faking out the company. Okay, I clocked in, so they see them clocking in, but then they'll leave, in a couple hours and go home. Dodge the traffic and all that sort of thing. As you pointed out, and I've written about a number of times, a good habit is one that's very hard to start and very easy to break. Okay. A bad habit is very easy to start and very difficult to break. And so that's why every year in January, we talk about New Year's resolutions, because we have to go back to those good habits that we call New Year's resolutions. Those are typically good habits, right, Rob? Yeah.
They're supposed to be. Yeah.
Exercising more, eating more healthy, just studying harder, whatever it is that you wanted to do to improve yourself as a New Year's resolution. Those are hard. Those are very difficult and hard to keep going. In other words, it takes a lot of work to keep a good habit underway. But what the companies do, or what they will do, is by pushing the employee back to work again, into the office, I should say, is going to cause them to have to develop good habits again. So, and so the company is going to force these good habits, but it'll take time. I mean, just like the pandemic, lasted a year and a half or 2 years, I guess, year and a half. A little over a year and a half the pandemic lasted. It's going to take about 3 or 4 years to get that good habit back again. So even if they get the employees back to work, they're not going to pick up the efficiency right away. It's going to take a little while to break those bad habits that occurred or got indoctrinated because of the work from home issue. So anyway, it's going to be a challenge. I mean, the companies will work it out. The companies can encourage this back to work effort by making it pleasant to be back to work. So there's things they can do to make it more pleasant for the employee. Maybe a shorter work day. Maybe just good morale boosting meetings and so forth that they can have. They have to make it pleasant for the employees to come back. So, good habits are not necessarily pleasant. Bad habits are very pleasant mostly. And so, people tend to respond to good, pleasant, happy things. And so the companies will figure out what they got to do to make the work environment better. And so I think that's going to be good in a way, because these companies that are on ball and really knowing this issue will work hard at making work a happier place. And so that's the key. So to all of you out there who run companies and who have influence in this area of getting employees back to work, try to make it a happy place. Try to make it a pleasant place to be. At Mike Corral, that's what we did. We tried to make work a happy place. And so we're diligently to make it fun for people to come back to work. Maybe you have to improve the parking. Maybe you have to put more charging meters out there for people who want to bring electric cars to work. Maybe it's just better breaks, in time and in the workday. Maybe it's better software technology. Just making it a pleasant place for them to be. Once they get back into the habit of returning to work, then I think things are going to improve. The efficiency is going to get better. But I don't see that happening, at least over the next year or two. So, I mean, they'll get them back to work, but I'm not sure the efficiency is going to improve much.
Well, Ray, this is kind of along the same lines. I mean, it's employment related, but I saw this and I thought, we'll close this video podcast out with a kind of just get your take on this. So I was reading this blurb about this employer in Australia, and he has this speaking of coffee badging. So it sort of relates in that respect, because there's coffee related here. He evaluates candidates who are applying, does an interview. When the person comes in for the interview, he offers coffee, or I'm assuming that any hot beverage in a mug will do, so if somebody doesn't want coffee but would rather have tea, fine. But what he does is the interviewer or the employer sits there, and the person has their hot beverage sitting in front of them. They do the interview and they talk and they do their regular conversation. When they wrap up, he checks to see if they take the mug with them, go to the break room, rinse the cup out, and put it back. And it's like, that's a big way that he evaluates whether he wants to hire the person or not. Give me your take on that. I mean, to me, it's revealing, but I don't know if I'd rely all of the hiring on that.
Well, sometimes they don't use a coffee mug. They just use a styrofoam cup. But did they take the styrofoam cup with them, throw it away, or did they just leave it on the desk? That's another way of evaluating what kind of employee they're going to be. So, you can use a styrofoam cup. You don't have to use a coffee mug. You can use a styrofoam cup. And if they just left it there and walked out, then that's a no-no. But if they take it with them and dispose of it, or dispose of it while they're there, that's a good sign. I think that's a good idea, actually. Whether it might be a soda pop can, whether it's a coffee cup or a styrofoam cup or whatever, that's a good, or even a napkin with a hot roll on it or donut or something. You can find out if they just leave the paper there, the napkin or whatever it is you gave them, or did they clean up after themselves?
Yeah, I think that's it, is the clean up after themselves, and I think it probably has a lot to do with just attention to detail and awareness of what's happening there. I mean, if you have the wherewithal to to clean up after yourself, then it means that you are confident and have you have
good habits. You got good habits.
You have a good habit, and you're showing that you're put together well.
Right.
For the audience, you can reach out to Ray Zinn with your questions at toughthingsfirst.com. Continue your education and the conversation with all the podcasts, blogs, and links to information about Ray's books, Tough Things First, the Zen of Zen series 1, 2, and 3, and I have 3 right here. So if you want to check it out, that's what it looks like. Make sure you pick up those books. They're wonderful reads, and it's a good way to keep going on a daily basis. Stay in contact with your mental acuity and with what Ray's got going on. Appreciate it, Ray. This is a great podcast, and I'm glad we could do it on video. Great conversation, Ray. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Rob.
You've been listening to Tough Things First, candid talk with Silicon Valley's longest-serving CEO, Ray Zinn. Drop by the contact page at toughthingsfirst.com for more about the book, more podcasts, and links to Ray's Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn pages to keep up with Ray Zinn's wisdom daily.